So I have some news, and I figured this is a really great place to do it. You know by the title, whatever clickbaity title I picked for this video. But I am dating my ex-husband, and we are back together and we are moving in together. Who would have thought, you know? But here's the tea. I want to share it with all of you guys. His name is Taylor, by the way. Okay, so Taylor and I met a long time ago. We met when we were at college in Utah, and I was 20 and he was 21. And just like good little Mormon babies, we got married fast. We met and we got married 8 months later. That's really, really fast. But by Mormon BYU standards, that was actually long. I had several friends who got engaged after we did and married before we did. I know. So we got married, and before Taylor, I never had lived on my own, and I had never really dated. I had dated a little bit in high school, tiny bit, I guess, in college. But again, I was 20. And so in my mind, I had found the love of my life, and we were going to ride off into the sunset, into eternity. And, you know, that was that. The end. Taylor and I had a good marriage. I will say that. I thought that we had a really good relationship. We left the church together in 2017 before we had our daughter. If you don't know, I have a daughter. I don't show her online or talk about her very often because I like to protect her identity, but I do have a daughter. She's almost 5. We left the church before we had her, and then Violet came into our lives. We separated 2 years ago. Almost exactly 2 years ago, the summer of 2021, July 2021. When we separated, it simultaneously felt like it was a long time coming and also totally out of the blue. I did not expect everything to blow up at that time. By the way, Taylor is okay with me talking about all of this. I'll save all the dirty details of how our relationship ruptured at that moment for a video that I would like to do with Taylor, if you guys would like to see that. We separated, and all I can speak to is like my experience. I moved into my own place for the first time ever. And not only had I never lived alone, I had never been alone. Like genuinely, whenever I was alone, there was someone else in the house with me. Even if I was alone and Taylor was somewhere else, Violet was with me, right? Maybe he was out of town. And we were constantly together. Before I was with him, I lived with roommates. And before that, I lived with my mom. It was wild finding out at, I guess I was 28, that I didn't actually know how to be alone. And it was incredibly uncomfortable to figure that out. And I really think that this process of being alone, and I think Taylor would agree with this too, on his end, is one of the reasons that we were able to heal and come back together, was because when we were married, our relationship was very enmeshed, very codependent, and we didn't know how to live without each other. There were definitely times where I thought like, this feeling of being alone is so big, it's going to swallow me whole. Like, I can't handle this. And I had to grow through that discomfort. I started dating for the first time. Like, it really felt like the first time. I was on dating apps. I was like loving the attention I was getting. I really loved going on first dates, but I was really staying really involved with like dating because it was keeping me from being alone. Any chance I had at spending an evening not alone, I was going to do that. So I was out a lot and I was talking to new people. And I do think that that was really important in my journey, talking to people and dating. I actually think that even the simple act of talking to people on dating apps is really helpful for you as a person to figure out like your preferences and maybe some personal icks that you didn't realize you had. I think that that's good. But it came to a point where I was like kind of using that as a crutch, because when the women watching this will kind of understand, the attention from men on dating apps can feel really intoxicating. It's a nice distraction. That's kind of where I was for a long time, was in this like, I'm just trying to distract myself and I just don't want to be alone. And throughout that process, I met a lot of really great people. I also had some not great experiences, but for the most part, I met some really great people. And I met a lot of polyamorous people. And at the time when I was meeting these poly people, I was in the headspace of like, look, I just left a marriage. I am not looking for anything serious. I'm only casually dating. But what I was really doing was dipping my toe in the water of polyamory, and I was dating non-monogamously, right? I was more intrigued by polyamory as I met these people because I felt like they were the best communicators that I had met, and I just really vibed with their philosophy. And so I kind of started down that path a little bit, dating polyamorously. Separately, Taylor was dating polyamorously as well. And I'll also mention, like, throughout this period of time, Taylor and I would kind of go back and forth on being friends. There were moments where we thought we were going to get back together. There were times when we weren't speaking throughout a breakup. You have to go through those stages of grief. And so there was a time where I was like very angry, very hurt, feeling a lot of those hard feelings. And so we weren't talking. But for the most part, in the last 2 years, Taylor and I have always found our way back to each other. Obviously, we have a child together, so co-parenting is a thing, and Violet kept us together. And Violet definitely kept us in closer proximity. We've always been really good friends. And there were times as I was dating other people, he was dating other people, where I felt this expectation that you're not supposed to be friends with your ex. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to have a clean break. And this is a very big breakup. So I need to stay away. I need to stop talking to him so much. But I truly just couldn't. He has been so important to me since I was 20 years old. And so we remained friends. And last summer, we attempted to date again while also dating other partners. And it was a disaster. It was a disaster. Neither of us were healed to a place where we were ready to do that. Both of us were intensely triggered by each other. It was bad. It was a mess. After that experience, I really felt like, okay, that's it. It's not going to happen again. We're not going to get back together. And I'm just going to need to be okay with that. And even though I went through this period of time where, oh man, it makes me cry when I think about it. I missed him so much. I was so mad because I would date other people and, I thought like, I'd really like to get a primary partner or, I want to get married again one day. I want to live with someone one day, but nobody could live up to Taylor in my mind. Oh, this is so sappy. There was a while where I thought, this is just the cross that I'm going to have to bear. I'm going to have to be in love with my ex forever. And that's just going to have to be the way that it is. Because I had gone back and forth so many times with him about, let's get back together. No, just kidding. I had done that with him. And I didn't know. I didn't know if we had tried, would it have worked out? And these are sad tears for like old Hannah. Like, I'm so happy right now, guys. You have no idea. I'm so happy. But I didn't know. I was worried I was going to say, I want to get back together, and then I would change my mind again. It wouldn't be right. And I couldn't do that to him again. So I just decided that this is something I was going to have to deal with forever. That's going to be hard, but it's going to be okay because we can be friends. And throughout this period of time, probably these few months, we finally decided that we were going to stop trying to not be friends and just be friends. There's a concept that a lot of polyamorous people vibe with, which is relationship anarchy. And what I love about that is it means you make the rules of any given relationship. You build the structure. You're in charge. And with Taylor, it had been so black and white. It had been so, we are either all in together, the most important person to each other, or we are not talking. And we just decided, okay, well, what if we just try to be friends? So we were friends and it was going really well. At the very beginning of this year, it just kind of escalated naturally. And we had a lot of conversations about like what this could mean. I'll tell you probably the most romantic thing, and I'm gonna cry, but guys, it's so romantic. Are you ready? I had a conversation with him, and this was before I had said I want to try again, because in my mind I'm thinking I'm in love with you, I want to be with you, but I can't say that out loud. And we had this conversation where finally we were being honest about our relationship. It felt like there were no expectations on where this was going. It was just an open and honest conversation. And he was looking at me with like so much love in his eyes. And I said, oh my gosh, my cats. Pepper, I'm trying to cry about Taylor. Okay. And I said, you got to stop looking at me like that. And he said, I think I'm always going to look like this when I look at you. I might put that in my romance novel because that was like knocked the air out of my lungs. And in my head, I was like, you, you, Taylor. God damn it. It was just so cute and romantic. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Anyway. And so we started dating again. And we were very hush hush about it because I was still nervous. I was still nervous that just because you want something doesn't mean that it's right. And so maybe it would turn out. Pepper? Okay, you're going to stay here. Got it?
Tell the audience how you feel.
She's horny. I was still afraid that it wasn't going to work out, that we were going to just realize that we were trying to force it and it hurts, but it's not going to work out. Surprise! It's worked out and we're moving in together next month. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Oh my God. I did not actually expect to cry so much in this video. He is so important to me and we have both individually grown so much and together our relationship has grown. And I'm excited for Violet to have two parents in the same house again. I'm just really excited. You know, Taylor and I have said to each other that we want to beat the odds and that just feels really appropriate to our story. People don't usually do this. People don't usually get back together with their exes and we're doing it and it's working and I'm really happy about it, she says as she wipes her tears. But truly, I'm really happy. I just wanted to share that with all of you guys. I think another big moment for me was earlier this year when we were friends, but before anything had really escalated, I saw a TikTok and someone was showing pictures of her and her ex-husband. They had been divorced and they were getting remarried. And she said something like, I'm so glad I got to find you again. And it was so sweet, but it felt like the sign I needed to know that it's okay. You make the rules. There's no rule that you have to leave your marriage and then that's it. You can't go back on that decision. There's no rule. You get to make the rules. And I cried for hours over that TikTok. But if you guys want to know what I was really crying about, there's a song by Sophia James called Still. And it is a really sad breakup song. One line of that song that constantly got me every time I heard it, even in those moments where I was like, pretending that I didn't care. We weren't in love anymore. I didn't love him anymore. There's a line that says, I'll hear secondhand news of your narrative. I'll hear secondhand news of your narrative. And that broke me. I just thought, I want to be a part of his narrative. I want to hear about the things that he's doing and creating. I want to be a part of that. And that whole song is just about, I'll still want you. And that's kind of how I was treating it. I will spend the rest of my life still wanting to be with him. And I have to be okay with not. Which hurt so bad. It hurt so much. But I cared about him and him being happy. And I thought, maybe I'm just not the right person for him. Maybe we've grown apart and maybe we can't repair. But joke's on you, past Hannah. Here we are. And we're moving in together next month. And I'm so happy. Literally still feel like I'm in shock. Like a big part of me feels like this was always meant to be. It just feels like, duh. Of course this was going to happen. And yet there's another part of me that's just, I'm in shock. Like, really? We actually did it? We actually did it? Yeah. So that's my life update. If you guys want to meet Taylor, if you have any questions, we would love to make a video together. We've also talked about, potentially starting a podcast called Beating the Odds and just talking about the growth that we have gone through and just relationships in general. So let me know if you guys want to meet Taylor. We'll do a video together. I love you. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening to me cry. Goodbye.